the way he played against Morrow with siege tanks on this map, what is he going to pull out the hat this time?
I will be intrigued. I don't know if that siege tank play will work as well. I mean, people call DDE an abusive player, and I don't really like the term, honestly, because it has a negative connotation, which I don't believe it should. He was using what was strongest at the time. That play that he used on SHOUTcraft right here, where he put down the siege tanks in this area right here, is more effective against Zerg, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, so I doubt we'll be seeing that in this game. He might try to change his variety up because he did go for a very execution build play that previous game. I wouldn't be surprised if he did some kind of macro-orientated style this time. You know, 1 Rax Expo into defending, throwing down a couple of bunkers on that natural, and it's nice and safe because of the way that the ramp is situated. It's very thin. You can't open up that natural at all. Socke wouldn't be able to get up there with a lot of units at all.
No, he would not. Admittedly, at least he does have some range that he could use to his advantage right there. We'll see what DDE decides to go with, and we'll find out very, very shortly. It's looking very likely to be a barracks first. There you go. No gas in this case, just a much more standard build. There's the gateway on 13 supply for Socke as well. And Socke must be looking to get into the longer game this time around, where he's much more comfortable with that big ball of doom that he likes to roll around the map.
Well, Socke's taken the option to scout earlier this time. I think that's a good option because he's playing against DDE. A lot of people within Europe don't really know about DDE.
No, they don't.
Before this tournament, I mean, I'd heard his name before, but I wasn't really particularly sure about his style. And now we're seeing a great new style, and it looks like he is going to be going for a 1 Rax Expo, changing it up a little bit, playing to the map as well, which is great. And I'm sure Socke will want to do the same as well. Get that 1 gate down, expand with it, and then be adding on extra gateways behind that. I
don't doubt that in any way, shape, or form. Here's the barracks, single Marine coming out right now. Socke will, as you were saying, most likely look to try and get that expanded, unless he wants to get really aggressive and maybe take the momentum back from DDE.
Well, he's already used a couple of Chrono Boosts, and it looks like he's most likely going to be using another one here. He's at 27. Is he going to throw it down? He might save it up. He's going for the second gas, though, surprisingly, so he may go for some kind of bust onto this 2 base. And when I mean that, adding on a pile, maybe a Stargate close by with a Void Ray. I mean, it still could be kind of late DTs. There's still a lot of options here. I mean, he hasn't got Zealot either, but the thing is, DDE is going to come in now, see the second gas, see the Chrono Boost being saved up. We'll play ultra safe, we'll get that expansion up. And look at this.
DDE's going 3 racks. It's just a 3 barracks build right here for DDE on no gas. Wow. This could turn into mega racks right here, which would be the 6 barracks marine attack.
This is so smart. He is just passing everybody's expectations right now. And Socke is 100% expecting a nice, fast expansion here. Marines on the lower ground to deny any form of scouting, and then this could be an all-in. He could send all his SCVs, he can build 1 million Marines, and at the same time, what is Socke going to do? He may go for some form of Sentry Expand, but he does... Oh, look, he's even building the bunker as a fake. So smart. Does Socke get the bunker vision? No, not quite.
Yeah, I don't believe he saw it, honestly, but he did see the Marine standing there. He must be expecting that to be denying information about an expansion. Socke, I think, is being tricked right here. He must be. I mean, Socke is not reacting to this at all. He's just put down his expansion, and that could be a critical mistake.
Will the Stalker run past the check for the expansion? That is very important, and no, it will not. We'll get chased down.
And it sees the bunker as well, which means that he's even more convinced that an expansion's coming. Great mind game play right here by DDE, and Socke could potentially lose at this point to this. I mean, there's 8 Marines already on the field, 3 more coming in. This kind of aggression now cancels out of that bunker, because, hey, why not? Might as well take the cash, and now pushing forward. The Stalker's still on the field, and he's gonna get some warning of this.
But he still doesn't know exactly what it is, so he's still going to play to his game. I will say if he cuts probe, he's not cutting probes at all. He is saving up Chrono Boost though, so he is Chrono Boosting the rest of the Cyber Core.
Twilight Council.
Twilight Council being added on. This could be really dangerous because he hasn't even added on that 3rd gate yet. He's gone Twilight Council before the 3rd gate, and there are a lot of Marines and SCVs coming here. Bunkers are going to be everywhere. This is going to be difficult.
Oh, it's going to be incredibly difficult. How can you say otherwise? 2 sentries is not going to be enough, honestly. He should be able to snipe those up, but good force field placement. There's some SCVs in the mix as well. It's all in-ish, let me put it that way. I don't like the term, but throwing in the SCVs as well, looking perhaps for bunker containment, and of course absorbing dealing a lot of damage from those. There we go, bunker coming down in that particular position. And what on earth is going to be happening right here for Socke? He's saving a lot of gas. I have to wonder what he's going to do with it. He's certainly not going to be able to get DTs out in time, I tell you that for a fact. 2 bunkers going down. Here comes the major aggression from DDE. A good surround right here by Socke, crushing a lot of those Marines. However, there are reinforcements moving in, and 2 of those bunkers are almost a completion. I have a feeling this one might not go up, though, because good target fire there by Socke, denying the construction of the bunkers, and he looks like he might even defend this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very aggressive opening, but it's by no means all in.
No.
He's expanded behind this. He's going to throw an orbital command up very, very shortly. He's added on double gas to follow this up. He's just doing a lot of pressure, killing stalkers, killing workers all over the place, and Socke is a little bit slipping up here. He's at 26 probes, does have an advantage, but 25 SCVs plus double mules is always going to win that fight.
Yeah, and there's the double cancel right there on the bunker, and the attack has, I would say, failed, and now this is a perfect opportunity for Socke to transition into Dark Templar, which is exactly what he's doing. I kind of expected that he might, honestly. The Twilight Council gives him that opportunity, and there is now a critical window where he can go in against DDE, who has not got an engineering bay up. He's not prepared for DTs.
The thing is, I think that Socke thinks he's more ahead than he actually is. I don't think he's expecting DDE to put down such a fast command center while doing that. So he's expecting the engineering bay to be naturally a lot later than it is going to be. And the kind of timing for it will be coming up very, very shortly. I mean, okay, factory first. I think it will be following up shortly in anticipation for something like this. And he also does have 2 orbital commands, depending on how many he uses.
There's the engineering
if he's
bay.
going to get lucky, and there's the engineering bay, yeah. So it should be okay. The DC Shrine is near completion now. DTs will get there before the engineering bay finishes, but how efficient, and let's say, how bad is DDE? Does he spend all his energy, or does he keep it up?
It's an interesting idea. He does, of course, want to try and get further ahead in terms of his economy. The orbital command at the top is drained. The orbital command down the bottom is close, and that is a proxy pylon right there. And hallucination. Socke with a very sneaky maneuver. He will bypass the line entirely, and where is that missile turret? It's the front. It is not anticipating this. He has saved a scan. Will he use a mule? That's the point right here. If he's got any common sense, of course, he will not. But I have to wonder if he's expecting this. There's a hallucination warp in right here.
Oh, he called a mule down. He called it down.
Oh, no! Disaster right here for DDE. He will get orbital command energy in a couple of seconds on this one. And, of course, he will be forced to use that, pulling all the way back. 1 missile turret is all he's got right there. And this scan will come in. However, Socke very smart, splitting it up. The scanner's not... There's the scan, and let's see how many he spotted. He only spotted 1.
Oh dear, this is so bad for DDE. He's just lost his entire advantage in this game. He has no energy whatsoever. He has 35 on the natural and 13 in there. And he does get a turret up and manages to defend. I can't believe that. There is another DT running around, but I can't believe it. He actually managed to get a turret up. I didn't even see that come up. And it's looking pretty good. Needs to actually get back in the range, though.
Yes, he does, unless he wants to lose an awful lot more to that DT. This DT could have been way more effective. Admittedly, it's given Socke the opportunity he needed to vastly increase his probe count. I mean, it's now at 54 to 38. Those DTs have done a good amount of harassment. And, of course, never forget the fact that if SCVs aren't mining, then they might as well not exist. So he did pull a lot off that line right there. He's moved the majority down. He wasted a lot of potential mining time.
That was actually really solid. I didn't think DDE would deal with that as well as he did. The pylon is going to go down now. No more DTs will be warped in. He does have 1 in the middle of the map, and but there is a turret and a bunker full. The problem is now for Socke is there's a large window for DDE to attack again, simply because he hasn't built any units for a long time. He's been chrono boosting probes out. He's supply blocked a little bit at the moment. If DDE decides to go, oh, I forgot that Stim was cancelled too there, so that's going to really delay everything.
Oh yes, absolutely, a good bit of cancellation on a very critical upgrade, and this will slow DDE down quite a lot in pretty much every respect. Zealot charges the follow-up to this, and that level 1 ground weapon and Protoss ground armor, and Socke takes a 3rd as well because he thinks he can.
Oh, well, he definitely can. He's got that advantage. Cancelling Stim is so good because it delays the attack by so long. Stim takes so long to complete. I think it was cancelled around 35-40% anyway, which is a very long time indeed.
Oh, yeah.
And getting that third base up is great. Looking at the unit tab against 62 probes. And now DDE does scout the expansion. He knows it's going up. He has to go as soon as possible.
He must strike at this expansion immediately. Unfortunately, a photon cannon is already going down. Socke will be preparing to defend this. He does have a reasonable number of units to make that happen. Good force field placement can, needless to say, annihilate any kind of force in this. The SHOUTcraft plateau does have a lot of these fairly narrow ramps in comparison to certain other maps. In comes the Raven, a sensible play. Wants to look out for the DTs, and the point defense drone will help a bit. Admittedly, the majority of that force is Zealots with charge, and there's an Archon now in the mix to make this difficult for DDE.
The most difficult part for DDE is this army is 1-1, so they are equal almost in upgrades. +1 armor is almost done. The thing that DD needs to do now is to pull units away from the main base of Socke and to drop in the back. Okay, there's the medivac. Okay, he's going to do it. So he's going to drop in the back of the base now because this is the most spread out, as I've said throughout this tournament, that Protoss will ever be.
Yeah.
He needs to do it now.
Yep, it's a good exploitation of the particular weaknesses of Protoss at this stage of the game, and around the 15-minute mark with 3 bases. He'll go for the back right now. He should be able to inflict serious damage. A warp-in may be forced, which is, needless to say, not what Socke was perhaps looking for. DDE is moving into position for a strike as well. There it goes. And
the warp-in was on the third base, so he can't warp in anything in the main right now.
Perfect timing right there. That said, he actually no, he can warp in 2 units. He won't have enough, really, but he can warp in a couple of units. He may, I was thinking maybe he might decide to warp in a Dark Templar, and he doesn't. He actually warps in a High Templar to nuke all of the energy on that. In the meantime, Sixjax DDE smashing his way through the defenses of the third base without any real resistance, and now needs to try and hold his ground, and he's got a perfect advantage there to do it. However, the force field's moving in, and those Zealots trying to slash their way through the forces of DDE, doing a good job of it, and he will clean this up.
Yeah, he did clean it up, and now the third base is completely safe for Socke. He's mining 3 versus 2 base, and I don't know, DDE, sorry,
You'll never get it right.
I know, it's so hard, even harder when you're tired.
Yeah, people need to, you know, people were actually saying that I was taking the mick out of you and I was being unbelievably unfair. I don't think people really understand how the British actually speak. Yeah. I mean, if we're not insulting each other, then we're not really alive, are we?
No, we're not friends if we don't insult each other.
Exactly.
So there is a double medivac down south now. He's going to have to pull the game back through drops. That's the only way he can pull it back. He can never, ever let Socke just continue with his game plan, keep his parallel universe going forwards until he gets to 200. That will not work. He has to do a lot of damage. And look, a DT is going to try to deny any possible third base.
He's moving forward, and he should be able to do just that. The scouting factory will not see it. It is not equipped with cloaking sensors. In the meantime, this drop is looking very, very threatening. It's looming over Socke's base, perhaps waiting for the 4th expansion, the 4th base, in fact, 3rd expansion. In the meantime, Ghost Academy on the way up, needless to say. Very, very smart play. DDE will drop there. He'll check for the expansion. He finds none, and then he can move down if he so desires. Socke, in the meantime, looking to block off absolutely nothing, but he will be able to start harassing on this base right here. Might take a good number of kills from that. Here comes the engagement from DDE, and also
a drop was cleared up in the main base at the same time. Double drop action, but cleaned up well by Socke, and DDE is going to have to leave this third base also.
Oh yes, oh yes. This is DDE. Oh, nasty! Very oh! Socke delivers. What can we say? And he is folding his opponent right here.
Shuts the door, and now DDE is trying to get up this expansion. 150 supply for Socke, 108. Right now is the time where he could almost just launch everything he has at that third base and take an easy win. And it looks like Socke now decides to listen to the stream and is going to move out. And as long as he delays his third base or just throws everything at it, he has the economy. He's taken a 4th base in the background as well to completely steamroll this game.
It's needless to say, we were joking about listening to the stream. It's on a delay, so it wouldn't work anyway. Socke moving in and will now meet the full-on force of DDE's bio. And DDE also pulling a huge number of SCVs, although I have to think that's more of a transfer than anything else. He managed to sneak it in quite nicely.
Yeah, it's definitely a transfer, but look at these Zealots.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. He has to get an orbital command because he can't afford to go to Planetary Fortress. He needs those extra mules. And Socke is quite comfortable with that. He's just going to go and sit back, realize he's ahead. He doesn't necessarily need to attack. He can always lose his advantage easily that way. So he's just going to continue up macro up, add more gateways, add more robotic facilities. He's gone for a tech switch also into Colossus, and his upgrades are sickening. +3 armor about to complete, +3 attack. just been started.
Very standard, efficient play right here. As I said before, Socke loves his efficiency, which means he wants to do maximum damage with minimal casualties. The best way to do that is, of course, to have upgrades and a properly designed and composed force. And here's another drop right here from DDE. A single Stalker being an absolute pain, taking out a few, might even snipe off that Mule as well if DDE doesn't do anything about it. DDE moves the majority of his army in to intercept that single Stalker, though Socke doesn't really have anything to follow that up with, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference.
And look at Socke's vision. He's got like both Xel'Naga towers. He has an observer at the top left to make sure there are no drops going into his main as well, while that's quite vulnerable. He does have a few Stalkers and a fully energized High Templar to feed back any medevacs that do come in. Equally in the south location, he's very well prepared too, especially for the drop that is coming.
Oh yes, over comes the drop. It's primarily Marauder based. That's a lot of potential damage coming in right there. But he does have this High Templar, as you see, a good feedback. That's the energy gone, and the Stalker should clean this up without too much of a problem. No healing there. That said, in the meantime, DDE is pushing forward all the way across the map. Oh, EMPs. Yes, EMPs could be a major, major problem right now. And still, those High Templar and the energy on the sentry, very, very high indeed. Will the EMPs land? That's the question. If he decides to go for it, DDE not confident about his position right now, decides he wants to back off, gather a few more forces in order to make a vicious push.
If any unit in the game could change around the complete game, it's definitely always going to be the Ghost.
Yes, it will.
Because it EMPs everything and everything melts. Now the Archons are useless, the sentries are useless. And looks like Socke is moving through. Great scan though, and another drop coming to the top right.
Oh yes, and I have to point out that yes, it does change the game. Big feedback right there. Massive blink. Wow, Socke! Yeah. Unbelievable denial of that drop right there.
And the bottom left, look at this, the Warp Prism being used here.
Drop City, population us right now.
Yeah, a few DTs in here will deny the 4th base. It will also deny the 3rd base because there's no Planetary Fortress, there's no turrets there. Nice option to do this while attacking in the middle.
Yes, and it's all going to come down to how well placed these EMPs are. Yes, it will change the fight if the EMPs are good. The thing is, Socke tends to ball things up quite a lot, so he needs to be careful. He's got this big, big block of units. There's the EMPs, and they are good. There is no real doubt about that. The shields melted. The problem is the Colossus are still there. GG, ladies and gentlemen. Good EMPs don't make a difference when you're having that rain down on you, and there you go.